Howdy, everybody. It's back from 1885, and I'm here to review the final installment of Back to the Future. Back to the Future, Part 3. This was done directly after Part 2. I'm going to take off this hat. Okay. So basically, in the very beginning of this, you are flashed back once again to Back to the Future Part 1, the events at the clock tower in 1955. You see Doc Brown, 1955, send Marty back to the future. And then you see the Part 2 Marty, and you see him running towards him. Doc Brown falls down, faints. Marty takes him home, over to his mansion, and goes to sleep. And from there, we'll go ahead and let me cover the people that are in there again. Again, Michael J. Fox plays himself as Marty McFly, and he also plays his ancestor, which is Seamus McFly. Doc Brown is played by Christopher Lloyd again, and Leah Thompson plays Lorraine, barely, but you do see her at the end as Lorraine, and mostly as Marty's one of his ancestors in 1885. I don't recall what her name is exactly. It's played by Lorraine. It's played by Leah Thompson, and then you also have Thomas F. Wilson again, who plays Biff and Buford Tannen, which is the 1885 Biff character, so to say, and he's outstanding in this one as well. So yeah, let's get back into it. So basically, we found out last time that Doc got sent back to 1885. So when Doc 1955 wakes up, he just really remembers that he had sent Marty back to the future, but then he realized, well, he saw an image of him that he had come back from the future, and he thought maybe he was just daydreaming or something like that. So basically, he gets scared a little bit by Marty, because Marty shows up again because he's been sleeping on the couch, and he shares the letter. And at this point, you do get to see Doc in the bathroom. You see the clock that he hung, that we found out in Part 1, that he had slipped and cracked his head right up here, and that's what gave him the idea of the flux capacitor. So that was kind of cool that they did that. Then in the letter, it explains, the directions of how to get the time machine. And I love this part right here. I really do. It's so they have to blow open a cave or something like that, and that's where he's buried at. The one thing that's funny about this is how Hill Valley has been green all along, and then out of nowhere there's the desert. So that was filmed at another location, so it's all right. So basically, they see the time vehicle, and it's been there for like 70 years. And they have to pull it off. I mean, it's been sitting there for 70 years, so there's nothing on it. So he basically has to rebuild the time circuits, and he gives the instructions and the parts that he need. He describes what kind of parts that the Doc 1955 needs to get. So you see it, and he rebuilds it. Doc gives Marty outfit, which is ridiculously looking. I mean, it's all pink. It's what the 1950s version of the Old West would be. It was just ridiculous. The cowboy boots don't fit, so he's wearing his old Nikes. They're at a drive-in theater, and I do like the drive-in theater. As he's going 88 miles per hour, he notices in the front is a painting of Indians, and as soon as he goes back in time, he disappears, and it's the same Indians. So it's clever how they did that. So So he had to go hide, and he hid in the cave, and he ripped the fuel line, which fuel won't exist till sometime in the 20th century. Number one, we were already given our first issue with what's to happen, and we haven't even met Doc, 1985 Doc yet. So in the letter, he noticed he was a blacksmith, so he figured he would have a place in town. So he's heading towards town, and he falls and crashes into a fence post. That's where you meet Seamus McFly, which is played by Michael J. Fox again. That's, he played it Seamus was really good. And then you get the same scene that you got all three films, where he wakes up out of a daze, and he's and then you find out he's in 1885. Seamus gives him a hat and sends him on his way after feeding him. He also meets one of his relatives as well, which is a baby, which is William McFly, the first American-born McFly. So he's walking into town, and it's hilarious. He's following the train tracks, tripping over the track. Then he goes into town, and it's really close to what it looks like. He notices that the clock tower is being built, and that's pretty cool to see the beginning of it. So it's awesome that they did build this set for the movie, and it's unfortunate that a few years later it caught on fire, and now it's no longer there. It's too bad. But he meets Buford, and Buford is to hang him, and as he's getting hanged, you notice that somebody with a rifle and a scope that this person has invented, and he shoots the rope down, and it ends up being Doc. So Doc then finds out, hey, Marty, you need to go back, and what's the reason why? Well, he tells him the reason why, obviously, and then he finds out that he ripped the fuel line, and then they're in some serious trouble at that point. So basically, they got to figure out how to get the vehicle up to 88 miles per hour. Well, all of this happens, and we also meet a love interest for Doc. In fact, I like to call this movie. It's more of Doc's. It's more focused on Doc, because in the first two, you kind of feel it's a Marty film. His love interest is Jennifer, and in this one you find out that it's Clara, which is played by Mary Steenburgen. She did a great job on this one as well. So that's the last person that I forgot to mention in the beginning. So Mary Steenburgen is a teacher who shows up in town, and she's supposed to go over the cliff. Well, Doc saves her life, and they fall in love. And she's into science, and he's a scientist, so they just hit it off right away. All this time also, they're trying to figure out what to do. They're trying to pull the DeLorean with some horses, and there's just no way they can get up to 88 miles per hour. Well, then they hear the train, and that's the key, is to get the train can go, straight enough with the DeLorean, and they can push it up to 88 miles per hour. Well, Doc has to invent these Insta-logs, I think what they call it, or something. It's supposed to make the fire burn hotter, which in turn will make the train go faster, up to 88 miles per hour. So, and all of this, you also get the problem with, Marty has to deal with Buford, and on Monday morning he is going to have a gunfight. Marty versus Buford. He thinks that, you know what, the train's going to show up on Monday, we're going to be gone. Well, he looks at the picture he took of Doc's grave in 1955, and it turned into the name Clint Eastwood, which is what he's going by in this one. That was very clever, and I know Clint Eastwood, I think, appreciated that, and he loved the idea. Also, so basically, he has to show up. He ends up putting this body armor on himself, which he got off of one of Clint Eastwood's movies. So that was kind of clever. And then Buford punches him, and he gets hit by it, and and that's it. At the end of it, we find out that it's very dramatic at the end. First of all, and so the DeLorean is in front of it. Doc has to go up there. He finds out that Clara got on board. Also, because they had gotten a fight, because he actually told the truth and said, "Hey, he's in the future." She totally didn't buy it, but this time she went on board, and so their idea was to just take them with them, because it's just she's gonna die if they don't take her with them. Well, they run out of room, and then Marty takes his hoverboard that he had, and then Doc took it, and which was it was amazing how they caught him first try. It's a good thing, and they floated away, which I hated that. I'm like, get to the DeLorean, but they floated away, and then of course that's it. Marty closes the door, and to 1985 he is. He gets to 1985. He's still on a train track, and he has to get out, and what we see is the most horrendous scene out of this entire series. The DeLorean is hit and is blown to pieces, and it's not cool because of the fact that I love the DeLorean, and that's the end of it. I mean, there's no more time traveling. He goes to pick up Jennifer, which he had left on the porch in the second movie. And remember in part 2, he had got in a horrible accident. Well, we find out what happened. He had raced Needles, but somewhere along the line he learned something, and he didn't race him. He stopped, and he would have ran into a Rolls Royce car, and he would have hurt himself. He didn't do that, and they go back. He shows the wreck, and then he's they hear the train the train signal sound, and it's actually Doc has come back from the past. He's married Clara. They have 2 kids, and they have a traveling a time train, which is all right. It's not a DeLorean, but it had the same look. It was pretty cool looking, I guess. And we find out that Doc is going to stay in the past. That's where he's going to finish it. He just wanted to thank Marty. He gave him a gift, which is the picture of them standing in front of the clock tower. And he takes off, and that's it. And that is the end of the series. Pretty good ending. I'll give this one, I'll just rate it right now, a 7 out of 10. Strong 7 out of 10. I do like the Old West. If you do like the Old West and the Old West films, this does give the taste of the Old West, and it's cool how they combined it, and a little bit of Back to the Future. At this point, Michael J. Fox is older than 17. The character is still 17, so it kind of does. You don't have the same feel as you did in the first one, like I said before, but it's all right. At the end of it, I forgot to mention that again. Crispin Glover's not here, so you find out that another person is playing George McFly, but you barely see him. So he puts on these huge glasses like he did at the end of part 1, and so you can't really tell. But it's unfortunate they couldn't get Crispin Glover to come back. All right, everybody. Well, I do recommend watching all 3 of these. It's fun. If you have the time, watch them back to back to back, all 3 of them together. And I feel like going time traveling again. And you know what? This time I'll go back to 1885. It was fun, and I'm going to go back. So everybody, see you next time on the next movie review. I won't be gone that long, so as soon as I'm back, I will be reviewing something else. Not sure what it is yet, but we'll see. All right, everybody, take care and have a good day.